Hi everyone, welcome back to another Cut Above with Chris. It's been less than 24 hours since my last shave. I'm going to be using a soap which I struggled with. I hope it works better this time, we'll just see how it goes. The soap is L&L Grooming Trismegistus. It's based on Terme de Ume, I think. I can't remember how it's said or how it's pronounced. I've no idea how it's pronounced if I'm honest, but it smells great. It's a lovely cologne sort of scent. This one's made with bison tallow, and I do get on well with tallow soap, so I just want this one to work. So I do like the scent. It goes with a lot of, it doesn't go with any of my aftershaves, but it does go with similar sort of aftershaves that you can sort of mix with it. It's got a powdery note to it, so it would work with Mersol and Brut, things like that are quite powdery. Yeah, it smells great. One thing I did notice when I did my last shave, this label isn't waterproof, which is a little thing for really, but it's the printing as well, which is might sound daft. You might think I'm being really pedantic about this. I don't think this is a cheap soap. I'm not sure. I haven't actually been on the L&L Grooming website yet. I don't think it's cheap. It's quite reasonably expensive, I think. And the label, you can see the edge there and how wide the edge is there with the white. Just little things like that just make a product look better. And most of the artisans out there have nailed that. This one, as far as I'm concerned, not being waterproof and not being sort of centralised, not even centralised on the lid, just little things that make a difference when you're trying to break into or do good things on such a niche market where there's so many good people out there making good stuff. The brush for today, my custom shaving brush from TF Custom Brushes, another Cut Above with Chris, and this is my channel brush basically. It's got a 26mm tuxedo knot in there, which Tony went through a lot of knots to try and find the one he wanted. This one feels superb. It's not as soft as the tuxedo knot that I've got in my Leo Frio or the Black Wolf in my Wolf Whiskers, but it is a thicker, denser knot being the 26mm, and it looks great in this handle. It's a really good chunky handle. So let's get it dipped in the water. Now this would be a real test for the soap, not having more than 24 hours growth. Yesterday I got a great shave from the Wunderbar, and there's not a lot of hair there, so this is going to be a test in terms of actually irritation and slickness and things like that. It might chew me to bits, it might not. Just got to smell it, it smells great. So straight onto the dry puck, onto the dry soap with a damp brush. We'll get a good load, we'll face lather and see what happens, and hopefully it does a better job than it did the first time around. I got through my face shave pretty good. It's alright when the soap's on your face, but the residual slickness is terrible, or it was terrible. For those of you out there, just based on this one soap I've used, it's not a great soap for people that chase a BBS finish, which I don't on my face, which is why I got away with it. On my head shave, however, I ended up with a few cuts, good cuts, because there was no residual slickness to actually do my pickups and my touch-ups to get the BBS finish on my head, which I always get, cuts or no cuts. Right, the brush is super loaded. Scent strength out the tub, it's probably around about a 4, 4.5. It gets up to about a 5.5 to 6 once it's actually in the brush. Splash of cold water. And let's see how we go. I'm just going to paint it on first. Now from memory, I got a great lather from it. There was no issues with the lather itself, actually getting it to a good consistency and a good thickness and good actual slickness when I was shaving with it. It was just the sort of intra-shave, which wasn't very good in between the actual blade taking the soap off. Right, let's dip the tips, just add a bit of water onto my face, and then there we go. Now this brush splays a lot easier than the 24mm Black Wolf or the 24mm Tuxedo I've got in my Leo Frio. It makes a great lather, releases the lather well. I'm not sure who Tony gets his knots from. I'm going to add a little bit more water with this today because I've been reading a lot about if your soap's not very slick, add a bit of water to it and it'll make the difference. So let's just make a mess. Let's see what we can do with this soap this time around. As you can see, the lather is superb. It really is top-notch stuff, but the scent's great. It's a tallow base, which I do enjoy tallow. I mean, that lather, it really is sublime. Look at that. Very easy to lather. This brush makes a difference when you're doing it. Not just this brush, but any synthetic graphite. Look at that. It's absolutely amazing. Very quick to whip up. The brush is caked. Now, I have loaded my brush way too much for a face shave. Far too much. There's probably enough in there for a good 3-pass head shave easily. Right, I've got my Mergress. I've got my Kai blade in there from last time. I'm leaving it on setting 2 because I don't have much growth, and it worked better on setting 2 than it did on 3 with the Kai blade. And then I notch it down to 1 for my across the grain passes, and I should end up with a nice, smooth, comfortable shave, hopefully. Yeah, very, very smooth. I put more water in this time, so hopefully, well, I think I put more water in this time. I can't really remember exactly how much water I put in the last time. But sometimes you've just got to dial a soap in to get the best out of it. Post-shave feel from it, from memory, after the shave was actually pretty good. It was just the slickness, the residual slickness was non-existent. This blade feels better on the second use by a mile, and it felt great once I got it down to setting 2 the first time. Right, the moment of truth. It's less like a different soap. If you watch my first shave with Trismegistus, even if you want to go back, if this is the first time you've watched me use it, you can go back and watch that shave and you'll actually see the difficulties I had with slickness. So it obviously needs a bit more water and a better load in the brush, and there's loads of residual slickness. So I sort of slaughtered it the first time, but you can only go on your experience at the time, I suppose. I can't see into the future and see that I'm going to get a better shave from it. So in terms of that, I'm glad I used it again so far. And the lather is really top notch. I mean, that's a beautiful lather. Very few soaps I've used. Well, not few, most of the artisan that I use you get a good lather from, but that was very quick, very easy, very slick, very glossy, very luxurious feeling. Right, I'm just going to knock this down to setting, well, that was on setting 3, so there we go. So that blade worked great on setting 3 this time round. I didn't even check it to see. I always put my razor back on setting 3. I never store it on odd numbers, on even numbers. I don't like even numbers, so I've knocked it down to 2 now. whenever I pull this Mergress out, and I do call it a Mergress, I don't call it a Progress, because in my opinion it's pretty much a different razor with that stainless steel knob on there. It's a lot heavier than what the Progress would be. So balance wise I find it would probably be better than the original Progress. However, I've never used one, so I'm only going on speculation or sort of guessing. But I would imagine this to be quite a head heavy razor with a plastic knob in the bottom. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a little bit of water on there. I just want to see how this glides. Oh yeah, well, I'm not embarrassed, but I'm just glad I used it again and kept hold of it, because I was going to just piff it or trade it, and I'm glad I've kept it now. And I do remember watching, because this was sent to me from Ken Lee, very kindly sent to me by Ken Lee. And I remember watching his video after I did mine, and I didn't get a good shave from it. I got a good shave, but I didn't get any residual slickness from it. And he really enjoyed it, so I was a bit, not annoyed, but I was a bit upset really, because I wanted it to work and it smells great. But now I'm very happy now. All I'm doing is just dipping the tips, just to see what we can do, adding a bit more water, see if it'll explode again. I mean, there was loads in the brush anyway, but just to see what we get. Yeah, so yeah. See, I can't do this with a natural hairbrush. As soon as I add water, once the lather's not as much, it just disappears and turns into foam. As you can see, this stuff just keeps on giving. The brush is still caked. Right, across the grain, other direction, from my left to right. Now, I was going to say something there and I can't remember what it was at all. It's just gone. It was literally on the tip of my tongue and it just disappeared. Must have been shit. Pile of shit I was about to say. I'll be breaking the timeless out over the weekend. Probably on Sunday. Might break the timeless out for a face shave. I might break the R41 out for a head shave. Superb. Anyway, it's definitely a lot of slickness here this time around. So it's obviously just a soap that needs a bit more water, and I might just have used too dry a lather the last time. What I find when you use a very dry lather, if you're using an efficient razor, it'll actually scrape all the soap off your face and it won't leave any residual soap on your face. The way I sort of think of it is, I'm a window cleaner, that's my sort of trade now I suppose. Whenever I put my soapy water in the window on the inside, I only clean internal windows with soapy water. And depending what rubber I use, if I use an Unger rubber, which is one brand, and I use a Tory, which is the brand that we use all the time, that's our main brand, but sometimes we run out and we have to buy an Unger one, I can see the difference about how much soap the Tory takes off as opposed to the Unger. You always leave residue on a window when you're using a squeegee, it's impossible to get every bit off, but the Unger leaves a little bit more because it's a less efficient rubber than the squeegee. And I find razor blades the same, hand razors, more efficient razor, the closer to the skin it gets straight away, and the more soap it takes off, the less residual slickness you're going to have. So that's why when you find an open comb, it's generally on a very efficient razor because it leaves a little bit more soap behind. And I think that's the sort of logic behind it, to give you that little bit of more help. Like when I do my window cleaning, it's the Tory doesn't leave any marks as much as the Unger, and that's the way I sort of see it. So the Tory is more your really efficient rubber, your R41 or shaving, and then you've got your Unger, which is your sort of like your Merca 34C sort of thing, where it leaves a little bit more on your face. So you've got to have that residual slickness to make it work better. And I've got no idea whether I just spraffed a lot of shit there, but that's my sort of logic on how a razor and a razor blade works in terms of efficiency with a thick soap and a wet soap. And it works the same with window cleaning. If the soap's far too much soap in it, you leave a lot more mess on the windows than you do if it's a much waterier consistency. So we find we'll fill out buckets which are sort of this wide with that much water and just a squirt of soap. Whereas if you put less water and put a lot of soap in, you'll leave a lot more shit on the window because it's a lot thicker. So it's just my sort of theory on it. I don't know, I don't know where I went with that one there. Went off on a tangent. Right, so I'm just going to rinse my brush off a little bit. Well, not a little bit. I don't need to do a fourth pass or a pick up or anything like that because the old Mergress with a Kai in it has just whipped everything off. Done a great job. The scent on this soap is lovely. It's filling the bathroom up. It's a really cologne-y sort of manly scent. It is nice. Certainly a scent that I could wear in an aftershave. They do sell this aftershave not far from my house, and it is on special at the moment, so I might even go and pick some up. I think it's $50 over here just now. I don't know how much it is normally, but it's $50 over here. It's normally $129 in the store. It's on special at Humphreys, cucumber, melon, witch hazel. The Humphreys taste terrible. It tastes horrible compared to theirs, but I think it's possibly because there's a higher concentration of witch hazel in these. It doesn't actually say on here how much is in it, but it's got that witch hazel flavour to it, like the original stuff does. Whereas the theirs actually taste sweet. If you've got the lemon, the peach, they actually taste sweet. Even the medicated's got a sweet clovey sort of taste to it. Not that you should be drinking this stuff, but you get it on your lips and you do taste it every now and then. While that is drying in, we can have a look at what was used, and then I'll finish off with none other than the good old Nivea Too Faced. I'm a man of sticking to what I like, and this Too Faced stuff has got to be the best post-shave feeling aftershave you'll ever put on your face. It really is that good. And it is a lotion, it's not an actual splash or anything, it's a lotion, but it just feels great. Really oily when you first put it on, but 30 minutes later your skin is as soft as literally as a baby's butt. Even if your shave isn't, it seems to soften everything, so everything feels good. Okay, the soap was a good surprise for me. L&L Grooming Trismegistus Bison Tallow Formula. It was excellent, it really was excellent. I put extra water in it this time, loaded the brush a lot more. The scent's great, really nice. It's a very refined scent, and I do enjoy it. I do like cologne scents, similar to the Wickham's Classic 24, and you know, those ones that have got a really nice scent to them. And I've got the Blue and Magnum as well, still to use, from 1912 range. The razor, Mergress on setting 3 for the first pass, then 2 for the subsequent passes. It's just a great razor, I just love it. I will try a Parker eventually, the variant, but I just love this razor. I love the way it's designed. I love this knob that they put on the end of it, just to class it up a bit and give it a bit of weight and make the dial work perfect. Really excellent little razor. Expensive but worth it in my opinion. TF custom shaving brush. Phantom Nebula is the colour if you guys end up popping onto his website. And another cut above with Chris, TF custom brushes. Beautiful brush, it's a good size handle on this one, it's very comfortable to hold. I'm not sure what style this handle is, he sort of made this one up for me on the go. And it's got 26mm, 55mm I think loft, maybe even be higher than that on the Tuxedo knot. But it's a beautiful, beautiful brush. And popped onto Humphrey's Cucumber Melon. Cucumber Melon? Yeah. Yeah, post shave feels great, very moisturised. And it'll feel 100 times better once I pop some of this on. As you can see, there's not much left in this bottle. Bit of sting, but nothing that I was expecting, considering this is less than 24 hours since my last shave. And I just go back for seconds today again. Oh, nearly smashed my sink. Oh yeah. Superb. Okay guys, I'm going to leave you to it. It's Friday today, I've got football tonight. I've got the physio this afternoon to try and fix my arse cheek, which has been killing me for the past couple of weeks and getting gradually worse. My back's slowly getting better. I've got a problem with my back and a problem with my arse cheek at the moment. And it's a pulled muscle, so I'm just working on stretching it and doing things with it, trying to get it back in line again so I can actually start sprinting at football again. And other than that, everything else is good. The family's all good. Mum and Dad's back in Scotland now. They're doing well. My dad will be back over in November, hopefully this year, to bring the kids Christmas presents over and obviously bring me some shaving goodies over. I mean, why wouldn't you? But other than that, I'll leave you guys to it. Thanks very much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the button down here. I'm not far away from 750 subscribers. That was what I was going to say earlier on when I lost my chain of thought. So once I get to 750, we'll be doing a giveaway. That one will be advertised everywhere. I'm going to chuck it all over Facebook, chuck it everywhere, just so everyone gets a chance at that one. And then my 1,000 subscriber will be just YouTube subscribers only, so it won't be actually advertised anywhere else, hopefully. Unless I do it by accident, or I really don't know. Or someone else advertises it for me without me knowing. So I'll leave you guys to it. Stay safe, drive safe, don't drink and drive, and I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.